not to. Okay, that's basically what explains what happened 2 days ago on Tuesday, January 10th. And the two winners at the Golden Globes are most unlikely going to win Best Picture because a lot of the times the Globe Picture winners don't win the Oscar for Best Picture. We saw last year as well. But there is going to be one show where our obvious picture frontrunner will most likely be winning unless the critics really go with something else. And that's what we're talking about, the 28th Annual Critics' Choice Awards that will be taking place this Sunday, January 15th, airing on the CW and hosted by Chelsea Handler. So, and of course, this is definitely going to be a massive big show because it's going to be both on television and movies, but we're only going to be discussing the movie side like the Critics' Choice Awards. And before we get our film predictions, I just want to mention that the Lifetime Achievement Award is going to Jeff Bridges, and the hashtag See Her Award is going to Janella Monáe. And I think it's time for me to start predicting what I think will win here at the Critics' Choice Awards, especially on how many nominations they would always give it to when they are obviously trying to predict the Oscars. For Best Original Song, I was actually going to go with this until after it won the Globe. And that is Not To from RRR. I was actually planning this before the Globes, and since the movie is nominated for Best Picture here at the Critics' Choice, I think Not To might be sweeping. Unless if they either give it to Hold My Hand or Lift Me Up, then we'll have a little bit of competition. Maybe I still say it's a three-horse race, until what happens on Sunday. Original score, I obviously think now that this is also going to be a massive sweep for Justin Hurwitz for Babylon. Even if Hildur Guðnadóttir, I can't even pronounce her. Guðnadóttir. I know what her last name is. I heard Guðnadóttir. That's the one. Guðnadóttir. Is double nominated for Tar and Women Talking, but I think this is definitely going to be Hurwitz's award to lose. But then again, he might get snubbed in the Oscar nomination like he did with First Man, but I think, and since he's now undefeated at the Golden Globes, it's just insane. I think he's going to be winning here for score. Best Hair and Makeup, I feel like this is definitely going to be going from the transition to an actor basically kind of like a connection of somebody, the star of the movie going to a massive transformation. And that trend has still been continued. We saw this last year with The Eyes of Tammy Faye. We also saw this with Bombshell, Vice, and Darkest Hour. I think the trend will go on continuing on with The Whale. And for visual effects, Avatar: The Way of Water. I don't think there's not even much of a contest. Costume and production design, I think I will be going both with Elvis here. Because the big reason is it's Catherine Martin. And when it comes to her designing for both the costumes and the production design for Baz Luhrmann movies, a lot of the time she would win. I know there might be, I think there was one film she didn't win for, but I believe that was because the movie was also not in for production design. I believe it was Changeling, I think. But if Catherine Martin's well known for designing Baz Luhrmann movies, and obviously winning for both Moulin Rouge and The Great Gatsby, and I believe Romeo and Juliet as well, I feel like that this is definitely going to be Catherine Martin all year for the costumes and production side. But they could give this to Black Panther Wakanda Forever for costumes design, because Ruthie Carter did one back-to-back for the first Black Panther and Dolomite Is My Name. But I think with Catherine Martin's name behind it, I'm going to say Elvis. Although Babylon could also win here because it is a movie centered around Hollywood. Same thing with Avatar: The Way of Water. But I think Elvis will win both production and costume design. Best editing, it seems to be a bit of a toss-up, I would say, between Everything Everywhere All at Once and Top Gun Maverick. And normally, a lot of the times, at the Oscars, if you win Best Sound, you're most likely to win Best Film Editing, as we have been seeing that in recent years. But there is no Best Sound category here at the Critics' Choice. So I think I'm going to go with the big bet and say Top Gun Maverick here. And speaking of Top Gun Maverick, I think it's also going to win for cinematography. It's been winning a lot of critics' prizes. And Claudia Miranda is a previous Oscar winner. And I feel like they're going to go back neck to neck here at editing. I still say editing is a bit of a race for Top Gun Maverick between that and Everything Everywhere All at Once. But if there is one place Top Gun Maverick most likely would win, is for cinematography. Best comedy, I'm actually going to go throw a little bit of a curveball and say The Banshees of Inisherin. Everything Everywhere All at Once seems the obvious choice, but this category, the best comedy, they don't usually give it to like the big, what would be the massive big best picture contender. Although, yes, there is, I believe, 3 picture nominees in here, so you'd think, okay, we'll go with Triangle of Sadness. But since Everything Everywhere All at Once is more likely to win a bigger prize, I think if they want to give the Banshee something as a consolation prize, I think it would be here for comedy. Best foreign language film, as they still call it in here, this is definitely RRR. Because with it getting that Best Picture nomination here, it's more confident. Even though it's interesting that Argentina 1985 won the Golden Globe, and we know for a fact All Quiet on the Western Front is the BAFTA and Oscar frontrunner, but RRR's biggest win is definitely going to be here at Critics' Choice. And speaking of critics' places, I think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio will continue its sweeping for Best Animated Feature, although Marcel the Shell with Shoes On would not be a bad bet, because a lot of the times, Marcel did got a lot of critics' prizes, but critics' prizes and the critics' choice are completely different voting process. The critics, association awards, they go with their personal ones, and that's why a lot of people went with Marcel. But with critics' choice trying to predict the Oscars, and even the Emmys for the television side, I think they're going to go with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. On to acting ensemble, and I think this is pretty confident that this is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once. Women Talking would be the go-to bet, and since it did redeem itself by getting a SAG nomination, and actually 4 of these are up at SAG, except for Babylon, which is on here, with the replacements of Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, and The Woman King. But I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is definitely an ensemble favorite, although I would say Women Talking more for a critic's choice, but as I've stated with Del Toro's Pinocchio, Critics Association and Critics' Choice are completely different voting process. So Women Talking has won a lot of critics' prizes for ensemble, but since this is Critics' Choice, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Actor, I think this is pretty confident that this is going to be Gabriel LaBelle in The Fabelmans. Although you do have some tough competition with Frankie Corio and Aftersun, Jalyn Hill and Till, and Sadie Sink in The Whale, I think the one that is the star of a Best Picture nominated movie is definitely going to be winning this. So I am going to, kind of like what Jude Hill did last year with Belfast, so I'm going to say Gabriel LaBelle wins for The Fabelmans. Adapted screenplay, this is definitely going to be a Women Talking sweep. Sarah Polley is basically the person to lose this award ever since back in August when I started doing my predictions. It's and even those who predicted, from the very beginning, would have this at number 1, and it looks like Women Talking could be unbeatable here. So, so I'm saying Sarah Polley for Women Talking. As for the Critics' Choice for Original Screenplay, I am going to go with Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Banshees of Inisherin did win Golden Globe. I can still see it winning at BAFTA, but as we know, McDonough is not a member of the Writers Guild, and that could hurt a little bit of his chances for Banshees to win an Oscar for Best Picture, since McDonough is not a member of the guilds. But since this is critics, I think the Daniels will win here for Original Screenplay. Supporting actress, I am a bit confident, at least for here and SAG, that Angela Bassett will win here for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now, I'm not confident she might not win the Oscar, though. And there could be, one of the big reasons is, of course, she's barely in the movie from what I heard. But Carrie Condon could be the one that might upset, because Carrie Condon most likely would win at BAFTA. And then, after yesterday, when I saw Bassett winning this, at the Globes, this past Tuesday, I thought of this and I think it makes sense. Angela Bassett, Sylvester Stallone, and Carrie Condon's Mark Rylance. So yeah, remember when Sylvester Stallone, everyone was hyping him up to win for the Oscar for Creed, but he lost to the person who won the BAFTA, Mark Rylance in Bridge of Spies. So I think Angela Bassett would definitely win Globe, Critics' Choice, and even SAG, even if Stallone was not nominated SAG. But I think the BAFTAs are going to change voters' minds when we get to the Oscars, and Carrie Condon might be the Mark Rylance in this category. But I am confident Angela Bassett would win here for supporting actress. Supporting actor, Ke Huy Quan, no contest there whatsoever. Actress is definitely the massive curveball between Cate Blanchett and Tar and Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, I have not looked this up yet, but I am going to see who has the most critic wins in terms of both of their performances for Tar and Everything Everywhere All at Once. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit, it's a little bit, okay, a little bit tough to say because I'm looking at all of her wins and maybe, okay, here we go, years, there we go. Yeah, I'm doing this blind here because I have to see here, and so what she has so far, I see a couple of wins for Tar, and then how many wins does Michelle Yeoh have for Everything Everywhere All at Once? So yeah, I'm doing this blind. This is kind of tough because I know what I'm thinking might happen is that I think I'm thinking Michelle Yeoh would win Screen Actors Guild and Cate Blanchett wins the BAFTA. But here at Critics' Choice, who's it going to be? I think it's going to be Michelle Yeoh because I'm looking in here and Michelle Yeoh has a lot of critic wins for Everything Everywhere All at Once over Blanchett. So I am going with Michelle Yeoh here for Best Actress. And for Best Actor, I feel like, although I still think Brendan Fraser is still the technical frontrunner for, like, the bigger industry prizes, I think Critics' Choice will go kind of similar to how they did with Michael Keaton and Christian Bale, and I think they're going to give this to Colin Farrell for the Banshees of Inisherin. Farrell might win BAFTA, but I think that would really depend, because Fraser, I still have him thinking winning SAG and the Oscar. I don't know where Butler's at, but Farrell might win both here and BAFTA, and then it will really depend. But here are the Critics' Choice, and since he is definitely, although I kind of used Critics Association as kind of a source for the actor side, I think I also did use for the actor side, and I'm saying Colin Farrell. Best Director, Steven Spielberg did win the Golden Globe, which I got that correct. But as you might have seen, he's no longer the Oscar frontrunner because the BAFTA long list came out and he was not one of the 8 male that was chosen by the jury. So that kind of hurts his chances. And Martin McDonagh was there. I know Todd Field was there. Baz Luhrmann was there. Sarah Polley was obviously in there for the 8 for the female directors. I believe also with Gina Prince Bythewood. And the Daniels were as well for that. And even the Directors Guild, McDonagh, the Daniels, Field, and Spielberg are also there. Oddly not James Cameron, though, with Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick, who is also on the BAFTA long list. Now, Spielberg seems like the obvious go-to bet, but since we're a Critics' Choice, I think the Daniels will win here for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then for Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I feel like that's pretty confident. Although Tar has also won a couple of Best Picture prizes at a couple of critics' places, like specifically at one in New York, and tied with Everything Everywhere All at Once in Los Angeles, but Everything Everywhere All at Once probably has a lot more. And I think as the Oscar Best Picture frontrunner that I have, I think we know our top 3 are The Fabelmans, The Banshees of Inisherin, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. So I think Everything Everywhere All at Once will win Best Picture here at the Critics' Choice. And that kind of wraps it up. So let me know what you guys are predicting. The next award show prediction video, if I believe, will be my final Oscar nomination predictions, where I will be predicting all 23 categories. Be on the lookout for that.